What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a fantastic day, morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this video. Hope you're having a good time. Um, Today's going to be a little bit of a different video. I normally do like motors and dirt bikes and stuff like that, but today I'm going to kind of switch it up. Here in my home state of West Virginia, it is deer season, bow season, archery season. It's been in since I think the 20th or the 22nd. It's been in for a week or so now. And I figured, why not make a video about archery? This bow is a Jennings Buckmaster. It's not a brand new bow. It's not ancient either. It's kind of like in the middle there. It's got some years on it, but it's a good bow. I put a Whisker Biscuit on it and a Trophy Ridge. It was a 5-pin, but I didn't have enough room. The top one was 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, and what I'm working on today, what this video is about, is a 50-yard pin. And way down there, at that little white square, that is my target, set for 50 yards, which actually the pin is right here. I've got my yard marked, and it's actually in my driveway where the 50-yard mark is. So, but yeah, I'm shooting fixed blades, which I'm actually going to be taking these off for to put on some practice tips. I made that target to where the tip is the face of the target is interchangeable, but a few of my screws wanted to strip out, so I want to make it last as long as I can. But I'm putting on these here Spade practice tips. I have 3 arrows, but I found out from one of, I guess you call it like my archery role model, Cameron Haynes. He pretty much says if you're sighting your bow in, you get your group with like a 3, but whenever you're practicing, you only need to shoot once, because you're only going to get one opportunity on an animal. So shoot once. That way you have a more of a, I guess, like an urge or whatever to hit what you're aiming at. You aim better knowing you've only got one shot. And I mean, it honestly makes a lot of sense. But went down. I took one pin off to a 4-pin, and I spaced them out. Mail truck. I spaced them out almost identical, because bows are pretty typical. They, like, if you step out 10 yards and you have these 10 yards apart, say this one is a 10-yard pin, and this one's a 20, or you set this one 10, 20, and you're shooting 10 yards apart, you can set this one about the same distance apart as these two, and you'll be really close to where you need to be. They're pretty they don't, I don't really know I can't think of the word. Typical. They're pretty typical. That you don't really have a whole lot. But I'm going to take and drop all the way down to my fourth pin, or the fourth pin, and I've got a leveler on here, right there, that actually has a big part to do with whether you're shooting right or on or off. So you want to make sure your bow is level while you're trying to take your shot. But I'm at the 50-yard mark, and the thing that a lot of people want to think about over like form is poundage. They want to crank it up as hard as it can. They just want to sling them arrows, but what they don't realize is deers are always on alert. They're always looking for movement. If you're on the ground, especially if you're moving, if you make any sort of unnecessary movement, they can pick up on it. So what you want is kind of you want to put form in front of poundage. You can kill a deer all the way up to like 30 something pounds draw weight. It's not as, like, I guess you call it like ethical, but you can kill a deer with like 35 pound draw. It's not that hard. But that also turns back your distance, so you can't be getting the 40, 50, 60 yard shots. But my bow was tuned for 70 pounds, and then I changed out all of this stuff, so then I just went ahead and cranked it up to max and started drawing on it. It was really hard at first, and then you kind of grunted and struggled at first, but now, really, Frog, I've got it down to where I don't struggle or grunt or whatever. It's a smooth motion. It's still difficult, but it's a smooth motion, which is what you need. But I'm gonna go ahead and lock her down. And you don't want to go like this and then yank down like everybody does on videos where they crank it down way too powerful. They lift it up and then torque themselves down. That's not how you're supposed to. That's not how you're supposed to. Your form. It's terrible. You want to hold it out straight, and then one smooth motion, draw it back. Make sure you don't want to put, I don't know if you can see my hand yet, you don't want to hold the bow like this, because that causes torque on the frame of the bow. You want to have just your thumb holding it pretty much. Make sure your bow's level. Find your pin. Get it in position. Find your dot. And you let it go. Now, a lot of people will want to like smack their pin or their trigger. And I kind of mix it. I kind of have a slow pressure, but also snap it. Like, I don't like flip it, which a lot of people will do. They'll hold it up and then they'll just flip it. And it's kind of like it kind of causes a jerk, which can throw your arrow off. But I like to get right up on it, and right as I feel it start to let, I pop. And instead of it being like a fling, it's just a quick let off. But I heard it hit the target. Have no idea where, because I can't see from this far where it hit at. But I'll go ahead and let me go ahead and move you out of the driveway so that if somebody pulls in, they don't run over my stand. Sit my bow down, pick you guys up, and bring you with me. I don't know whether I'm on it or off it, or how bad I'm on it or how bad I'm off of it. Well, how good I'm on it, but you're going to find out with me. I'm not going to hide anything. It looks like I'm way off to the right, which may just be my angling a little bit. But at my 50 yards, right there's where the arrow hit, and right there. So it's about 3 inches up and about a foot to the right. Now, I've got all the way up to 20 to 40 yards pretty much dialed in. I'm thinking that from 50, I believe the wind is causing this foot over. See, my bow is not as powerful as the brand new ones are, but it's still got, I mean, you can see it's only about 14 or 15, well, about 15 or 16 inches, and my arrow went in like 8 or 9 inches, so I believe that as a general, where it's about 3 inches up, I might do a little tiny adjustment and maybe try to compensate for the wind and just see what happens. If I lose this arrow, it's daytime, I can probably find it, but we'll just have to see what happens. But it's always good to be on the target first thing. But I will not going to hold it a foot over, but I'm just going to see the theory, see if there's a theory behind it, if it's actually what I think it is, or if it's something completely different. But grab my bow again, knock her up, knock her up. Alrighty then. Good choice of words, Jacob. Good choice of words. I'm killing it today, y'all. Okay. Back at 50 yards on your little stand. Let me get my little tool. I'm not sure what size Allen this is. Just a little tiny feller. And since it's still a little high, I want to bring my pin up just a hair. See, the reason you bring the pin up is because then you got to drop the bow for the pin to be back on target, which lowers the arrow. It's similar to rifle scope, but it's a little different in certain aspects. But I'm just going to ever slightly move it up just a squinch. Alright. That looks like a squinch to me. Tighten it down. Pocket. And let's try again. School bus will be here pretty soon. I'm shooting this video. It's about, well, let's see, it is currently 2:59. Bus will be here in about 5 minutes. So I want to kind of get this part done with before the bus gets here. There's no wind right now, so I'm just going to sand it. I'm going to go straight. I'm going to aim straight for the little center thing, the little dot, and let's see what we're at now. Oh, I nailed it. I saw where it hit. It's just below. I saw the target. Poof. Okay. Go ahead and take you guys. I'm gonna leave my bow again. Now, let's go see it. I saw poof on the target. It's just below, straight ahead. I tell you, whisker biscuits get a lot of crap, saying that they grip too much and they're too aggressive and they hold onto the arrow and you can't get good velocities. Bullcrap. They're accurate. And my arrow somehow has caught wind again a little bit because it's not perfectly straight. But from 50 yards, that's where I was aiming for and that's where I hit. I'm going to bring the arrow or the sight. I'm going to scoot it down just ever so slightly because my first arrow was right there. So, but it's about an inch and a half, or well, about 2 inches to the left, which again, I think had to do something with I had a fine little error. All I'm working with is the up and down, and I think if I bring the pin down just like a hair, it'll put me right around either in here or up in here. But if I'm anywhere within an inch of this, an inch out of this line anywhere here, I'll call that good. I don't plan on ever shooting a deer at 50 yards, but if deer busts and it stops at 50, I want to be confident that I can send an arrow at 50 and at least put a lung shot on him or her. I hunt for both sport and food. But to be completely honest, if a big doe and a buck come out, to be honest, I would probably just shoot the biggest one. If the doe was fatter, I'd drop the doe. If the deer were if the buck was just just a little bit smaller, but was a big rack, I'd take the buck. But if there's a big difference, whichever one's bigger, I'd take it. Let's see. My brother was the one that last year put out a bunch of corn, but he also had to work, so he didn't get to hunt as much as he wanted to. But I did, and I told him, and this just seems like the fair thing to do, I told him that since he put out all the stuff, if I went hunting and a mondo walked out, I wouldn't take it. I would let it go and try to land a doe or something. That just seems to me like it's the best thing to do. It's the kind thing. I didn't put out any sort of attractants or nothing like that. I was pretty much hunting off of his time and money. So I told him that if I seen one, big buck, I would let it go. Now if it was a monster, I would have shot it just simply because Our land isn't no like big hunting land. We own 25 acres, and right beside of it is another huge pile of land, which the over the hill hunt too. So I'm pretty sure that if that deer would go over, actually I'm 100% positive if that deer would go over into the neighbors, if he saw that deer from on our land go over to his side, he would shoot it hands down. So if it was a huge deer, I would take it, just simply because if it left over into that mount over the hill, I might not see it ever again other than in their freezer. So there's being nice and then there's being cautious. And I like to stay on the cautious side of things. So if it was a little spike, just so he could call it a buck, I would let him take it. But if it was a mondo, I'd have to take it. But I'm gonna put one more shot and I'm gonna end this video. I can hear the bus. So draw back. Get on sight. Level your bow. Find your pin. Let it go. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Just trying to showing you a little bit of form, a little bit of smart tips and stuff for bow hunting this year. Stay safe. If you're hunting, always be aware of your surroundings. And take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.